From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here. We've got a good show on tap for you. You know, in this community, you have folks in various enterprises, and they want to prosper and continue going. But our guest this morning is someone who I think, while he would say, oh yeah, I've got to go find something else to do, would love it if he went out of business. He would love it if his service and what he helps head up was no longer needed. I think we would all like that, meaning that literally, not that we got rid of the service, but that we got rid of the need for that service. Sadly, this service is needed more than ever before, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning to get you involved, perhaps. Take your phone calls this morning if you want to join in the conversation and talk about the value of the Nashville Rescue Mission. With us this morning is the CEO, Glenn Cranfield. Would you like to be out of business, Glenn?
I would love to be out of business.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. To recognize exactly what you said, Nick, that we have provided for the need, taken care of the need, and situations are in place so that people finding themselves in need have a refuge quickly, and then to have an overnight shelter that's long-term, to have that need go away would be awesome.
Yeah, if everyone, had what they needed.
Exactly.
Sadly, that's not the fact. And the bottom line, you were just telling me at the mission as we speak, more than 800 folks. Is it as busy as ever? Have you seen ups and downs over the last several years?
Well, it continues to grow, unfortunately.
Okay.
And
so does the city of Nashville.
Right.
Does it come with the territory?
Exactly. And as Nashville grows and prospers and does well, sometimes we think that only affects those people that are upper middle class or middle class and above, but it affects everyone. People coming to Nashville thinking maybe I can find hope there. Maybe I can find an opportunity there. So they're coming for construction. Lord, there are cranes all over the place, construction going on all over the place. So they come hoping they can make it here. And they find themselves in a situation where they have need, they're without, and so they come to Nashville Rescue Mission, and we stand ready to help them. So the numbers continue to climb, not drastically, not rapidly, but just ever so slightly each year.
I really do wonder how the changing dynamic of the city plays into this. And you're right. Everywhere what's the official city bird?
The crane.
Yeah, I've used that joke a few times. It's not original, but anyway, I was going to say, you see cranes and the construction, and where you're located, okay, over there off Lafayette. When you first went in there, what was it? Before it was retrofitted, was that?
It was a Sears store.
That was a Sears store, but now it's a nice, good facility. And over there on Lafayette, it was more business district, and some areas a little rundown. But
right.
Now, okay, aside from you and Hot Diggity Dog, my favorite hot dog place, just down the line. I love Hot Diggity Dog, best hot dogs in town. But
That's
anyway,
right.
since that you now have the wine,
the winery
right next door,
right.
and you have so much more. It's getting built. The Gulch and areas
right.
maybe where I wonder for the folks that come here, all of a sudden in the city, very few affordable places to live, very few places where they're going to tolerate vagrancy, frankly.
Right.
How does that affect things?
Well, it certainly affects things. And right there in the middle of all of that burgeoning and blossoming industrial area, you said the winery, Third Bend Records.
All around you.
All
That's
around
right.
us. And so it's been very important for us to recognize where we are and to be good neighbors. And we've dressed up the parking lot, the building, and all of those kinds of things. And so when people come by that, they see a very respectable place that's doing a very respectable work,
yes,
caring for the neediest among us, but not doing it in a rundown fashion. And so that's one of the things that kind of bugged me in some places where, we have a standard of expectation. Then when it comes to homeless shelters, we have a lower expectation.
Right.
And so we're really trying to raise that standard of expectation so people can say that is a well-run facility, a well-run place, people that take care of people's needs and provide housing and shelter and clothing and counseling and case management, but they're also doing it with a great business mind.
Yeah,
and so it's really important.
Going back decades, and my good friend Larry Britton, who used to really look closely at charities and groups that help folks, always, going back decades, has said they do things right at the mission.
Yeah.
And we're going way back,
yeah,
up to where, and I agree with you, and many of us here at News Channel 5 were honored to be able to go over during the Thanksgiving holiday, and we do that once a year, and I know we should be over there more often because it's a year-round thing, but to serve. And you do see the facility is well kept,
right,
and the people there, very pleasant, and it's nice. But I wonder, that's a valuable piece of property.
It is a very valuable piece of property.
And as more high-end stuff goes around you, it's yours and you're there. But can you feel pressure? Do you worry at some point someone's going to say, we don't want that here?
You know, there's been some talk about it, and usually it's questions. Has somebody pressured you? And no one ever has.
Okay.
And I think
Because you do a great job.
Well,
It's not a problem.
And it's solving the need and doing it in a very reasonable and respectable way. But it is a very valuable piece of property, and so, you know, taking care in that particular piece of property in Lafayette, 500 men each night, and providing the meals that we provide, to find another footprint to be able to do that in a downtown core area.
That's important. It has to be in the downtown core.
It does, because that's where the big need is. The downtown draws them to the downtown because there's so many resources in the downtown area, and so it draws them downtown. So to find another footprint that size would be difficult. So we have just committed to staying there and committed to providing a high level of care with a very, very business type mentality.
Yeah, okay, and so far so good,
Yeah,
I think.
that's right,
So far.
that's right.
What's the changing demographic? We've talked about this. The mission years ago, as I mentioned, my friend Larry Britton, he'd talk about it was mostly older men.
Sure.
It's no longer like that.
It's not. And you're exactly right. It was that. And over the years it has changed, and just rapidly over the last 5 years, we're seeing just an incredible growth of women and children. Women that have been abandoned, been abused, children that are without their father, don't know their father, never knew their father, and so they're finding themselves in a situation where they need that type of help. And so that's the changing demographic of homelessness. It's just women and children.
Is your mission there an appropriate place for a child? I mean, where do they end up going?
Yeah, we have a women's and children's center.
Let's clarify that.
On Rosa Parks.
Okay.
And so that's where the women and the children stay.
So they're not staying over there on
That's
Lafayette.
right. That's
I
right.
just wanted to clarify, because it truly is not that those men, there's anything wrong with it, it's just a more mature setting.
That's right. And there's 500 men there, and then in the other campus, which is on Rosa Parks, there'll be about 350 women and children there. About the breakdown will be less than 100 kids, between 80 and 100 children at any given time.
Wow.
And the rest are moms or single moms or single ladies.
And I know it varies, and the goal, I think, throughout all of this is try to get these folks back on their feet to maybe get out and make it on their own. So typically, how often, or what's the average length of stay for someone? Is there a way you can give me an answer on that? And does it differ whether it's women and children and the men?
It differs on women and children and men. It differs on mental health issues.
Okay.
It differs on all kinds of things. There's not really a standard way. There are some men and women that are severely mentally ill that can't live independently. And here in our nation, not just in Nashville, not just in Tennessee, but all across our nation, we haven't done a really good job of caring for the severely mentally ill among us. So many of them find themselves in need of a homeless shelter continually. That has become the safety net, if you will, for them.
So you've seen some of the same faces year after year.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of people unknowingly, and I get it, and my job is to communicate and to help people understand this, but a lot of people would frown on that because of so-and-so that's been coming to the mission year after year or month after month. But I'm going to tell you, some of those folks with severely mental health issues, that's all they can do. And so we have staff that reach out to them, that help them with all kinds of issues, with clothing, with meals, with, of course, security and safety at night, but then other things, doctor's appointments and things of that nature, just to help them sustain living at that level. And so we're glad to do that and happy to do that. And Nashville should be proud that that happens every single day for the severely mentally ill
Especially because there aren't very many mental health beds for folks in these types of treatments.
That's right. And they used to be kind of directed or confined to a hospital, and those were opened up and released back in the late 80s.
Right.
And so since that time, then the shelter world has really become the safety net.
Yeah, well, there's basically you, and then there's Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall.
That's right.
And he says that's wrong and that needs to change.
That's
because
right.
we need to address it and we all pay for it. Anyway, there's so many more questions to ask you and get into this. We have some phone calls. 737-7587. If you'd like to join in the conversation, a question about the mission or what he sees firsthand among our homeless or needy population, give us a call. We'll be back with more right after this.